Welcome to the Flex Forward podcast, where grit meets growth. With your host, Nic Espanet, bringing you stories of resilience, reinvention, and the real climb to success.
All right, everyone, welcome to the Flex Forward podcast. Today, we're joined by David Ewers. David is a service IT and cybersecurity executive at lots of neat stuff that sounds like he's doing in the healthcare industry. So, David, welcome to the Flex Forward podcast. Thanks for joining us. And can you let our listeners know a little more about you and what you do?
Sure. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm David Ewers. I'm the Senior Director of Information Technology for Heart Hospice. We do hospice care and palliative care. And I've worked here about a year and a half. And I'm in charge of cybersecurity, information technology, lead a great group that has been just going all the way through every initiative that I've set forward. And it's great to lead a strong group that understands that.
That's awesome. And it's such an interesting industry because the things are changing. I would think week to week almost. You have new challenges, new technology that you can use. At least month to month, it's things are moving so fast in a lot of those areas.
Yeah, healthcare is really challenging because a lot of legacy systems are out there, and we need to not only support those legacy systems, but find innovative ways to replace those systems so that we don't disrupt the clinicians and the registered nurses on their visits, and also we don't disrupt patient care.
So yeah, before I got into commercial real estate, I still am a physical therapist, but I worked at a hospital right when they were starting. This has been almost 15, 17 years ago, starting to transition into the computers. And there was a lot of pains at that point. I'm sure it's much better now, but I went through the early phases of them starting to transition out of the paper. And this was the largest hospital in in Fort Worth. And
Okay.
Big, massive amounts of data that needed to be communicated. And it was, I'm sure it's much smoother now. I know back then it was like everybody dreaded the changeover. It was fun. So in this IT world, I bet there's a lot of competition out there. What's something that sets you apart from some of the other guys doing this, guys or girls?
Well, we're one of the largest privately held hospice care companies in the United States. We have offices mainly in Texas, Indiana, and Michigan, but we are opening new offices in Florida, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Washington State, some in Oklahoma and Arkansas as well. So it's our footprint that not only gives us the ability to provide patient care in those locations, but also it is a technology challenge to be able to adapt to the changing landscape of bringing that data back into an area so that we have a consolidated data pool that we can track that patient information in.
Yeah, I can't imagine. It's just makes my brain want to explode trying to think of how to get all that stuff. And you guys got to protect everybody's health information. I mean, pretty much anywhere you're wanting to protect the information, but even a higher level when it comes to healthcare of the HIPAA rules and all that stuff that you guys likely have to deal with.
Healthcare data is very desired in the dark web. They want that information. So yes, protecting that information is critical to ensure that we establish trust with our patients, and not have security be the blocker to providing patient care. We got to I always tell people it's a balance between security and operational performance. And that's what my team does, is try to do that balance between that and keep it level across the board.
Good stuff. So what is something that you find comes easy that others may have found challenging along the way?
Really on the security side. The security side, I worked for a company out of Irving, Texas, where they were ISO 27001. I worked 8 years at that location, standing up and working with privacy officers and security, external security companies. We were audited probably anywhere from 2 to 3 times a month by
Wow.
our customers. We had some large healthcare customers, life insurance. So when I came over to this role, I decided that I was going to bite off from the big wheel and decide that I was going to do ISO 27001 as our security framework here. So based on that, the Annex A controls and the updates that they did for ISO in 2022, it's easy for me to look at that, know what policies we need to put in place, how to enforce those policies, and the really big part of it is tracking success for those policies. Anybody can put up a security framework, but if it's not tracked and maintained, um, something's going to break. You guarantee it's going to break.
Well, and I would think break or the bad guys are constantly probing the system.
Yep.
They may come. You've got to come up with it's not near on that level, but within our apartments, we have people always trying to give us fake employment documents or fake proof of income. And as soon as we kind of get a way to capture or protect ourselves, the crooks or the guy they find another way to beat the system. So we're constantly having to, outwit not be outwitted by them. So, and you guys probably have a much more technologically advanced crew coming after your stuff.
Yeah, we do. And with the introduction of AI, some of that stuff, the days of the prince in Nigeria, the Nigerian prince and all that have gone away. Now the emails and the phishing attempts and the attempted threat actors, they've used AI. So the emails that they send out are very, very well orchestrated. They look, if you compare it side by side,
horrible.
Exactly. If you compare it side by side, you can't tell the difference. And now with the introduction of AI into AI videos and voice, I went to FutureCon in Dallas and they did an experiment. They pulled 3 seconds of a voicemail and were able to create a complete video and voice based on that 3 second of voice and a still image of the person. So that's a threat.
Yeah, that's super scary. I took a communications class back in the early 90s. And one of the professors said at some point with AI or with pictures, photographs will not be admissible in court because they're going to get so good that which I think we're getting to that point now and maybe even a video a picture, you will not be able to tell if it was faked or not. Now that was 30 plus years ago, but I think we're getting to that point now and the scary thing is somebody posts a fake picture of someone online, even if you later proven fake, but if somebody that's in the reputation business or is important, they could just be trashed, in no time. Yeah. Interesting. So I'm sure there's things you do to help improve, self-improvement or build, learn, or if people are listening, want to get better at something, what's some of the things you recommend they do, the things that have helped you?
Things that have helped me is just going to some of the conferences that are in the Dallas area and outside other states. Security, anything dealing with information technology. Security and information technology go so close hand in hand that you go to the security seminars and you get a lot of good information from those. I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, if so I take LinkedIn learning classes. I actually updated my ISO 27001 to the 2022 standard through some of the LinkedIn courses. So it's a never-ending battle. If you're in IT, you have to continue to educate yourself. And now I'm at the point now that I'm mentoring other aspiring and leaders coming into their roles, and just making sure that I leave them with the knowledge that I've had coming through the ranks. It's difficult to it's just really difficult to get your footing. But if you don't continually do self-improvement and learn, you're gonna be rolled over. You're gonna be left behind.
Especially in your line of work. That's, I mean, in any line of work, but you guys, like I was talking about earlier, I think that changes are coming so quick that you got to be so on top of it, and continued education, which I think is good in any walk of life, even in just general life in general, is being,
Yeah,
reading and things like that and learning are
yeah.
so important. So
Well,
in your,
I started my career in the military in 1986.
okay,
And I went into communications, and then when downsizing hit in the early 90s, they brought computers into my job specialty. So that's where I got my love of computers. And the whole time I've just been learning and learning. So the technology that you talked about, how fast it's moving, back in the 80s and 90s, you could, kind of fake it. Nowadays, you can't fake it. You got to
yeah,
be up on everything. You need to understand the security. You need to understand the technology innovations that are coming out. AI is a huge one for a lot of companies. And when you're talking AI, my stance is I love AI, but in order for me to bring it into my company, I need to understand what business gap it addresses and the protection of the data. And that it has I have to understand both of those areas before I recommend an AI into any program or into our environment.
yeah, yeah. You definitely want to make sure it's not putting your information out for everybody else to, but especially in
Exactly.
healthcare, but in really in anywhere. Very,
Yeah,
very.
anywhere.
What
Even
is?
personal.
Yeah, that's, we've talked about having AI do our like summarize our financials at the end of each month. We still manually do it and write a newsletter, but that's been one of our holdups, is how do we keep that stuff from going out? And it's not that challenging, but it's just something that could save us a couple hours a month, that you could do something else with. So we're still trying to wrestle with how right now we haven't done it because we don't want to put it in out for the world to see. And I don't know what
Yeah.
could be done with it, but just right now we haven't made that leap yet. So,
Yeah.
so as you've worked through your career, what's one of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome?
Um, Gosh, mainly for the last 10 years, I've been working in post sales. I worked post sales for Citrix from 2014 to 2024. So I worked 10 years in post sales. Before then, I had about 20 years in IT. Um, 10 years out of information technology is a lifetime. So coming back into IT is a challenge. It's a challenge that I love because I get to look at new technologies and work with that new
Hmm.
technology and just overall just learn how to implement it. But yeah, that's been a big change in the last year that I've had to overcome is coming back into IT with all of the threats that are out there, security frameworks, changes in technology, changes in how we provide patient care. I've had to relearn a lot of that stuff. And it's a challenge, but it's a challenge that anybody can take on if they have the fortitude to push forward on it. And that's the biggest thing is understanding what your gaps are, what your weaknesses are, and then filling those gaps with education or podcasts or
Yeah.
anything like that.
Well, that's great. Yeah, I would imagine 10 years is just massive in the technology world. What things that changed from when you moved out, when you paused and then started back, and what. But and that's great that you're able to see that and know, but you had to educate yourself because you want to be aware as you're going back into that. Awesome, that's great. So it
Yep.
sounds like things are going well in your career, and so a lot of people start getting further along in their career and having success. They start thinking of ways to create passive income to either enhance or replace their active income. You have any thoughts on that?
I really don't. My job, my total focus is on the job, and I'm a technologist 24/7. So when my team has an issue, we do an on call. If they have an issue, I'm always there for them. They can reach out to me at any time, and they'll get a response eventually. But yeah, I'm out for them. I want to dedicate all my time specifically to providing support for this company. I did dive into the consulting world every once in a while. it's people would pull me in to ask my thoughts and opinions on some of that stuff. And I do that. I'd rather just work with a team and direct them, lead that team. I love leadership. I post a lot on LinkedIn about leadership, cybersecurity, and IT, and that's just some of the stuff. Over the past say 20 years, my employee retention rate has been less than 5%. So I've been able to retain,
I think you mean the opposite
95%, 95% of my people. Yeah.
It's like 5%. I don't know that you want that. No.
Yeah, no. I lost 5%. And what's really cool about that is the 5% that left were basically doing career enhancements, because I didn't have the position available for them. I would work with them. No, it wasn't awesome. Dissatisfaction. I would work with them. I tell everybody on my team that, I may not have the position for you. The growth may not be there for you, but I'll help you and mentor you so that you do fall into a position where, you can excel. I don't want to be, I look at somebody that leaves. I don't want to, be that one person that says, oh my God, we need you. We want to keep you. I don't want to be that roadblock for their career. I want to help them. I want to mentor them. I look at somebody leaving as an opportunity on my team for somebody to either move up or to give an opportunity to somebody outside, an opportunity to work in healthcare IT.
That's awesome. And what a blessing for the person who's leaving to know that you're supporting them and helping them transition and not making them guilty for, because people have life, they have to make the best decision for their family and their life. And so, I think there are some owner or bosses that would kind of bash them, but it's great. I love what you're doing. Just, hey man, we want to help you launch into what's best for you and your family.
Well, I look at it this way. Not only does it look good on that individual, and when I release somebody to another company that has knowledge, skills, and abilities to perform the job, but it looks good on my company that we are supporting them, and it looks good on me too. That I support them, and that I don't want to. Everybody has a life, and nobody wants to. I mean, if nobody had to work, that would be great, but we have to work. But why not make it an enjoyable place to work? Set up that culture and that community where people don't feel threatened if they feel that they need to leave or something like that.
That's so awesome. All right, David, as we're wrapping up the interview, do you have any exciting plans or initiatives in the next 6 to 12 months that you're got on the books?
Oh, we have tons of stuff. I'm doing a replacement of a phone system in our corporate office. I'm deploying a SIM, an EDR. We're deploying. We've acquired a new company up in Oklahoma City that we're bringing in underneath the Heart to Heart network. It's just an overall. It's always busy. I tell my team there's times where I sit down at my desk at 7:00 in the morning. I look up and it's 3:00 in the afternoon. That's how busy it is. But I enjoy that because it gives me something to do. Sure. It feels that it gives me that feeling that I'm contributing back to the community.
That's awesome. Great stuff. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to share some tips and insights for their listeners. If people would like to connect with you, do you have some way that they can get in touch with you?
You always look me up on LinkedIn. I'm very, very active on LinkedIn.
And it's David Ewers, Ewers, right? So
correct.
That. Wonderful. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in to the Flex Forward podcast. Be sure to like and share this episode and pass it along to someone else if you enjoyed it. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you, Nick.
Thanks for listening to the Flex Forward podcast. If you've got grit, growth, and a great story, visit flexforwardpodcast.com/guest to apply and join us on the show.